Please join me to pledge our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mr. Garino. And thank you for being who you are and being where I want you to be. It's so great to see everybody here. Welcome back. Good morning. I think that the quiet that we all enjoy in July goes only so far when we're working here in the summer. The schools are just not meant to be quiet places for too long. So I wanted to start by mentioning that I can really relate to where you are in terms of sitting out there. In all my days as a teacher, as an administrator, I've always valued the sense of renewal at this time of year. I really can't think of any other career where we have a chance to pause, to reflect, even do a little reading, relax, and get back to some family matters that need to be attended to, and to prepare for, I always like to think of it as a new beginning. So it's just great that we have that opportunity. However, I think I also must confess that when I was sitting out there in my days as a teacher, as an administrator, first day convocations, I think that what was on my mind is what I think is on your mind, setting up the room, getting organized, thinking of all of the possibilities. The excitement of these new possibilities is really what this time of year is all about. Knowing that you do want to get on with all of this, I thought about what our gathering should really be about this morning. It is first, of course, to welcome you, to be reminded that you are the most important resource we have for our students. I've said that before, I continue to say that, I believe that. We drive with you at the front line our district goal to continually, year after year, strengthen our individual, our collective practices to increase student learning, and at the heart of all of that, focus areas. Right now we're looking at making sure we're implementing a curriculum that reflects state standards, that reflects 21st century skills. We're also looking at the challenges of our teacher, administrator, supervision, evaluation, professional learning plans. But I always like to think of that plan as something that is not evaluation without looking at professional learning. I think that the plan that we developed brings me to how I feel about what we do when we face challenges. We rise to the occasion, and looking back on last year, looking back to the year before, the development of these plans, we have a great deal to be proud of throughout what we did last year. We faced the challenge of developing and then implementing these plans to ensure that they're fair, they're reliable, they're accurate. And today, the State Board of Education praises Trumbull for this plan as a state model. We also faced the challenge of preparing for a NEASC accreditation process here at Trumbull High School. Because of Trumbull High School's professionalism, because of your self-study, which I believe is at the heart of NEASC, we came with extraordinary results from that NEASC evaluation process. So that's a tribute to this school and to the staff members here. It's greatly appreciated by the community. We faced the challenge of closing the achievement gap in both of our middle schools. And not only did we succeed, but both Hillcrest and Madison were cited by the State Department of Education, the Board of Education at the state level, as schools of distinction. We faced the continuing challenge of implementing student opportunities that are assessed, that inform instruction in our TechEC building, our 6 elementary schools. And not only did we make great strides as we expected because of your track record at those grade levels, but we did it, you did it, at the same time that you were heavily involved in all of the implications, all of the questions regarding a redistricting plan. So another success in the face of a challenge. And together, we face the challenges associated with selecting new leaders.
the right leaders for Trumbull. And our support, your support, my support means everything to Jen Newmeyer, our new Tashua School principal, Brian Rickert, our assistant principal at Hillcrest, Mark Marino, our high school principal, Mike King, I think most of you have met him, but certainly not all of you. Mike King, our new AD. Dr. Tremaglio, our new director at Agri-Science last year. Dr. McGrath, our new assistant superintendent last year. Pauline Smith, our PBS director last year, first year. And I think that there aren't very many of you yet who have met our new facilities director, but you'll soon meet him, and I'm sure you will be very impressed and glad that he's here. Our new facilities director, Mark Deming. Although we know that teachers are the foundation on which learning revolves, we also know that the assistance and support from so many others is critical to ensure this successful learning experience. A hallmark of Trumbull Public Schools, and what I firmly believe is what sets us apart from so many districts, has been our ability to join with and extend our partnership, all the way from the police department to organizations such as BEI, ACE, the list goes on. But when we look at exactly what that means, we're looking at the partnerships and the respect that we have collaboratively for each other, starting with, first, receptive and motivated students. Secondly, an invested professional staff that includes all 950 members of our workforce. Not only us as certified people, but the entire workforce. Involved, caring parents, an active and supportive community that's represented by a responsive Board of Education. So, like you, I think every administrator that is in this room would agree with me when I say that we were teachers and we are still teachers. We are all teachers, and we all know this, and it's my favorite mantra. The quality of an education system cannot exceed the quality of its teachers. I feel extremely honored, proud, privileged to be working with you, and I have every confidence in you, in us, that as long as we work together, we will always make great things happen to our students. Thank you so much. At this time, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge our board members who are here to join us this morning. We have our board chair, Deborah Herbst, in the front row with Mrs. Seaman, Rosemary Seaman. Some of you know Rose from her principalship days. She's now secretary at the board level. Mr. Ward is in the back, but Mr. Ward has also been over at Blue Hill as a principal. I think we all know him. Thank you so much for being here. At this time, I'd like to make sure that we have some time for our board chair to share her thoughts with you. Our board chair is a former teacher, a former administrator, and I think that everything I have seen in terms of what she does with the thinking process, in terms of some decisions that are made for students, she still thinks like an educator. She does what's best for children. I'd like to ask you to please join me in welcoming Deb Herbst, our board chair.
Good morning. Before I officially start, first, welcome back. It's nice to see all of you. Dr. Chaffee, very well said, took a lot of my words, so I'm standing here trying to switch everything around, but I would be remiss if I didn't call attention to your wonderful superintendent. The Board of Education is very fortunate that we have Dr. Chaffee. You all are fortunate. You have a hands-on superintendent, and we are extremely pleased with the leadership and all that goes on in this district with the teachers and administrators could not happen if you did not have hands-on superintendent. So if you would just take a moment and applaud your new superintendent for a job well done. You know, it was interesting, I went over in my mind what I was going to say today, and Mr. Ward reminds me, you know, they really want to get this over with, so I'm going to be brief. But I will say to you that I reflected, as Dr. Chaffee did, on my days as an educator and as a building principal, and what it was like in the summertime when it got closer and closer to the day when you have to go back. And for me, it was especially hard because I was a working mom, like many of you, working fathers, who summer was over and we leave our children and we have to say goodbye. Mom's going to work, dad's going to work. That was always difficult for me. But a convocation, even my days in Bridgeport and as a principal in Milford, convocation revitalized me. When I walked through the door in Central High School and the band was playing and I saw everyone, it's like, I'm okay. It's going to be a wonderful year with a new beginning. I always marvel at Trumbull's teachers and administrators. You know, research says that teaching is an isolated profession. You go into your classroom, you shut the door, and you have very little interaction. Well, you could fool me here in Trumbull because what I see is such tremendous teamwork and collegiality and teachers learning from teachers that it defies what all the research says. And I think that here lies the difference. This is why Trumbull is one of the most distinguished school districts and that our track record is so impressive. Please know that the Board of Education is extremely proud of all that you do. We feel blessed that we have a committed staff that puts the needs of students first. And the board views their role as a partnership with the superintendent, teachers, and administrators. So as I stand here, I say thank you, sincerely, all of you. All of you in our schools make it happen, and for that we are greatly appreciative. I wish you continued success. I know you're going to have a great year, and also I'm sure that any challenges that you face, you will rise to those challenges as you've always done. I'm extremely proud to be your board chair. Have a good year.
Thank you, Deb. At this time, I would like to ask our TEA co-presidents to come forward and to join me in acknowledging the 17 new certified staff members that we have. And of course, I'm sure they have a few words for you that they would like to share. I want to thank our new certified staff members for choosing Trumbull to pursue or to continue their career. And just yesterday, they participated in a full-day orientation session. So I know that they have a lot on their minds, obviously, but it was a productive and informative session. They're an excellent blend of new staff members. They come from several different paths. Some are recent college graduates, some have substituted here, some have been interns here, and some have been in other Connecticut school districts. I'd like to ask all of our 17 new staff members who are certified to please stand so we can acknowledge you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Carrie. Well, welcome back. I'm Tammy Belargin. I'm teaching 5th grade this year at Booth Hill School, and this is our co-president, Jane Klospis, who's at the high school. We're really excited to be back. I know it was a very fast summer, but if the weather cooperates, we will be out June 9th. So it'll be a quick year, we'll be out June 9th, and everything will work out perfectly. Yesterday was great to welcome the new teachers and tell them Trumbull is a great place to work. We are very supported by superintendents, administrators, Board of Ed, and the parent community. And so in that way, we try to be optimistic about our year. We're excited about the challenges that we face this year, and we are all very qualified to do a wonderful job with Trumbull students. With that said, TEA is here to advocate for you and to support you in any way. Currently, we're on every district committee so that your voices are heard. And the way that we know what your voices are is to let your building reps know what the issues are, the concerns, let your executive board members know what your concerns are, and definitely, you could certainly contact us with your concern. Yeah.
Well, I too am super excited to advocate for a wonderful group of people. As Tammy said, we're here for you. We will be out to visit you in your schools throughout the year. And please look forward in the very near future to a TEA survey that you would be able to perhaps tell us about some of the concerns that you would like your TEA to address. I wish you a wonderful year, and have fun.
I just mentioned that we had new staff members who are just making their way navigating through the system, new faces. Here are two people that have been so entrenched in Trumbull Public Schools that they know things that I'm still finding out from them. So please welcome our TAA officers, Jackie Norcell, Lucinda Timonelli.
Actually, Lou and I, on behalf of the Trumbull administrators, just want to welcome you back to a great year. And it's a great year because in June we were able to call back every staff member who had received a pink slip. So that says we're going to have a great year. And actually, yesterday I know that 2 new teachers were offered contracts in Trumbull at the elementary level. So we do have that enrollment going down a little bit, but you know, also with that comes how some of us have decided that it's time to move on, and those people moving on make room for other people. I want to thank Lucinda, who has finished 41 years and will be retiring on September 5th. So we thank her.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I just want to say a couple of things. Trumbull High School I started when I was 21 years old, so now you know how old I am. And I look pretty good for that age. The formaldehyde does well. So what I want to tell you is it's a new year. Just be positive. I've said this to the Trumbull High faculty. You will be here longer than the next state initiative. Be calm, be positive, take care of your kids. That's number 1. Always remember, they're the first. Good luck.
This is always a special component of this first day back as I introduce our Teachers of the Year from each school. You'll recall from previous convocations that the purpose of this, of course, is to recognize more of our superb staff each year. We name a teacher at each school and then select from these staff members one educator as Trumbull's Teacher of the Year. The purpose here, the underlying concept is not to attempt to select the best teacher, but rather to identify among many worthy candidates one teacher to serve as our representative. So at this time I'd like to introduce our individual school honorees, and I would like to ask that you stand as I call your name, and we'll be able to go through the list of the 10, starting with Booth Hill Teacher of the Year, Kimberly Soule. Daniels Farm Teacher of the Year, Janet Conte. Frenchtown School Teacher of the Year, Cheryl Wallace. And Jane Ryan School Teacher of the Year, Laurie Ogarzalik. Middlebrook School Teacher of the Year, Milika Savkovic. And Tashua Teacher of the Year is Margaret Cassidy. Hillcrest Teacher of the Year, Laura Alfred. Madison Middle School Teacher of the Year, Carolyn Ramirez. Trumbull High School Teacher of the Year, Susanna Lavornia Lai. Trumbull Early Childhood Education Center Teacher of the Year, Joanne Milo. I truly believe that you will be impressed with this year's Trumbull Teacher of the Year as selected by the committee. Her core beliefs are really at the very foundation of why she is so successful. Students, and I'll tell you a little bit about these mantra core beliefs as we move along here. Students will treat you with respect if you treat them with respect, number one. Number two, if you love what you do, students will love what you are doing for them. Handle them with kindness, and the art of teaching is naturally rewarding. One of the students that this teacher has had shared some comments, and one of them that was very striking to me. She taught me how to stand tall and overcome all challenges with a smile. This teacher's noteworthy contributions include, there are many, but they include, number one, the development of a student portfolio as a standard for student and teacher evaluation. Number two, she is known as, now we're getting close, you're gonna know who it is if you don't already. She is known as the voice of our ELL students, and this will certainly give it away. She was named co-chair of the NEASC Standard 5 School Culture and Leadership Committee for October 2013 accreditation visitations. I'm proud to announce our 2014-15 Trumbull Teacher of the Year, Trumbull High's Susanna Lavornia Lai.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you, Dr. Chalfie, Dr. McGrath, Mr. Garino, and all faculty and staff. Best wishes to everyone for a wonderful new school year. I am so incredibly thrilled to receive this honor today, and I am so thankful for this recognition. It is really a dream come true for me, so thank you. We have had some amazing teachers from Trumbull Public Schools representing the Teacher of the Year program. With that said, I would like to thank Eric August and Katie Boland for all their support. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Okay, this is a very emotional day for me, but I'm also very proud to be here, so I'll try my best to keep it together. I would like to start by making this moment not only about me, but about all teachers. It's very difficult at times to feel appreciated, and we often forget how much of an impact we can make on the lives of our students, directly and indirectly. I would like to make today's message, and the message that we could take with us throughout this school year, a message of appreciation for all of us who are part of this very beautiful profession called teaching. By the way, welcome all first-year teachers. It's the best profession in the world. As you may already know by now, I am an Italian and ELL teacher at Trumbull High School. My ELL students have moved to America with limited English language skills, and often depend on us, on their teachers, to help them to adjust to the American way of life. I could easily relate to these ELL students as I moved to Italy in the 1st grade and did not speak any Italian. And then I moved back to the United States in the 5th grade, and I'd forgotten most of my English, even though my mom always read to me in English and we tried to speak as much as possible in English. I can tell you firsthand how challenging these experiences can be, even for someone like me who had a lot of support at home. For me, the one teacher who made an impact in my life, see now I'm gonna cry, is Mrs. Gentile in the 5th grade. I had just moved back to America and was attending my 2nd American school in a matter of 4 months. Mrs. Gentile was the first teacher in the United States who helped me not only improve my English, but made me feel comfortable at school, and that was very important. Her smile alone made me feel welcome, and most importantly, accepted. The great Maya Angelou once said, "I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." As I was preparing for this speech, I decided to try to contact Mrs. Gentile to let her know that I would be recognizing her today. I was very fortunate to have the opportunity to locate her just a few weeks ago, believe it or not, after 30 years, and to speak with her. During our emotional conversation, I told her that I never forgot how she made me feel back in 1985 when I was in the 5th grade, even after all these years. Needless to say, it was a phone call that we will both never forget. At this time, I would like to dedicate this very moment to a wonderful teacher, Mrs. Kathy Gentile, who was unbelievably available to join us today. I called her on Monday. I don't think she ever realized how much her friendly smile helped me at the tender age of 10. My daughter's 10 today, and my son is 9, and I could just imagine how she made me feel back then. So please come to the podium, Mrs. Gentile, who came today so that we can all give you a big round of applause.
We are told as teachers that we make a difference, and you may not know it ever. It might take 30 years to know. Believe it. Believe it. This is proof.
All right, at this time, I would like to do something just a little different. I would like to honor some of my dedicated colleagues of Trumbull. Please welcome some of my former and current ELL students to the podium to share their positive experiences with some Trumbull teachers and of the impact that you have had on them. So please, at this time, put your hands together for Alexandra Chiukanu, Tram Nugent, which I'm not sure if she's able to make it today, Aisa Nawali, Reem Nawali, Maria Papa, and Carlos Velez. Please come to the podium.
Hello everyone, thank you for having me here. My name is Alexandra and I'm from Romania, Italy. I moved to Trumbull High School in my 10th grade and I graduated in 2013. I came today to visit my old high school, but also I came to visit the teacher that have been next by my side through my years at Trumbull High School. Of course, I want to say a special thank you to Miss Signora Lavornia Lai because she's been the best teacher ever. She's been by my side since day one. She always been next to me, like in any situation. She always is like supporting me every time. She always gave me great advices. She was just wonderful. I want to say another special thank you to my Spanish teacher, Miss Señora Arango. She's the best Spanish teacher. She told me always like to follow my dreams, to believe in myself. She always been there for me. I want to say a special thank you to my English teacher, Miss Pala. She helped me very much with my English, of course, as well as Senor Lavornia. They really helped me. They always made the time for me to be there for me. I will never forget that. Thanks to these three amazing teachers, of course, I won't be today here, and I won't be the person who I am today because they really support me, they motivated me, encouraged me. I'm very thankful. Thank you so much. Can we please have Mrs. Arango, Mrs. Pala stand, just we give her a big round of applause for these two fabulous teachers. Thank you. And next we have Carlos Velez.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Carlos Alberto Velez, and I will be a senior this year at Trumbull High School. I am from Havana, Cuba, and I came to the United States in 2012. When I started at Trumbull High School as a sophomore, my first year was extremely challenging. I was at a new school where the primary language was not my own. Even though the challenges I faced were immense, there were several teachers who took the time to help me. I was the normal level of extra help many teachers give. One of the teachers was Ms. Rubano. And not only did she take extra time during and after class to help me understand U.S. history, but she translated the entire textbook for me, chapter by chapter, so I could understand it and be at the same level as other students. The dedication and guidance that she gave to me is why I picked her to be honored in this ceremony. Ms. Urbano is a shining example of an excellent teacher of Trumbull. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. Next is Maria Parra.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Maria Parra. I am 18 years old. I graduated from Trumbull High School in 2014. I am Colombian and I speak Spanish. I am thankful with Miss Lai for helping me improve my English. I would also like to thank Mrs. Cloud for my guidance counselor for 4 years. I am very thankful to have had her help me in the past years. She pushed me to do better in school and made my high school experience very positive. I would also like to thank Mrs. Campanelli, C House principal, for her support through my high school years. Thank you.
Can we please have Mrs. Cobb and Mrs. Campanelli stand to give a round of applause? Okay, next is Isam No, I can never say. I call him Nawali, but it's something else. But it says Isam.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Isam Nalawi. I'm 17 years old, turning on to 18 soon. I just graduated from Trumbull High School 2014. And there's a lot of teachers I would like to honor, but there's limited time. I have a minute or so. So throughout my experience here, I would like to thank Mr. Matthew Skirbo for always being there. You've been a great, easygoing, and humble teacher. Although we would always, get off topic in class, we were always on task with the material. There was always something new to learn, even if it was something new, even if it doesn't relate to class. Also, I would like to thank my guidance counselor, Ms. Thompson. She was always there for me in rough situations, and she indeed reached out a hand for me since day one. And of course, Ms. Lai, we couldn't have done this without you, my ESL teacher. And thank you, everyone. I hope everyone enjoyed your summer. Thank you very much.
And last but not least is Reem Nalawi, his sister, because I can't say either one of their last names.
Hello, my name is Reem Nalawi. I'm from Syria, and I graduated in 2013. Okay, so first of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Miller. He made me fall in love with chemistry so hard that I am now going to the medical field. Ms. Bala and Ms. Garcia revealed the hidden writer within me, and since that day, my life has made a lot more sense. Now that I use my pen to write down my thoughts and feelings, it's just so much easier to express everything. Mr. Labarca proved to me that once I set my mind to something, I can achieve it, and I actually did. I went from a failing grade to nearly a perfect one with him in 1 year, and that was just amazing. They all just made the high school experience a lot easier. They understood that it's not easy being a teenager, aside from being a new one in a new school, a new country. It was nice for our first period with Miss Bala. It felt like a morning coffee with the family. With Mr. Miller, it was nice to feel in charge and responsible for conducting an experiment that you were just totally responsible. It was all yours. And you know, he would help you, but you were in charge of it. You were responsible for something. That just helps build your character in a way that only chemistry can explain. However, I cannot deny that ALL was the best class with the wonderful Miss Lai. We all felt connected, comfortable. We all related to each other's problems. And Miss Lai always just helped us in so many ways that I know none of us will ever forget our ALL family. And finally, at the end of the day with Mr. Labarca, it was good to have a teacher who was just as tired as you were to share a good laugh, but still remember what the Emancipation Proclamation was. You guys made us know ourselves better. You made us know what we want ahead in life, and for that, I am forever grateful to all of you. Thank you. Including Mr. Servo, who I forgot to mention before. Thank you, thank you. Great job, great job. And I also like to mention that Tram Nugent, one of our former students from Vietnam, she was supposed to come and had an issue with a ride, but she wanted to recognize Miss Stephanie Jalowitz. So congratulations to Stephanie for helping her with her reading and writing, she said. So thank you. Okay. Please try to remember these students when you're feeling underappreciated or overworked throughout this school year. Think about how much of an impact you make as a teacher on a regular basis, perhaps without even realizing it. Now it's your turn. Please, if you wouldn't mind sharing, take a second with the person sitting next to you, it's like school, and talk about the one teacher who made a difference in your life and why they made such an impact on you. Go, you have 1 minute. And why? Experiences. Now we're at the final stretch. Okay, with all that positive energy that we have going on in our audience, and to continue with my message of giving thanks this year, I would like to conclude with recognizing some very important people in my life. First, a heartfelt thanks to my mom and dad, Marino and Josephine, for always putting education first. I brought the whole family, they're here. Thanks, Mom, thanks, Dad. Where's my dad? We're Italian, we always have to travel together. Oh my goodness. They always put education first, and they always encouraged me to be the best that I could be. And unfortunately, I may be one of the only Italians that can't cook, but that's because my mom always said, get out of the kitchen and go study. So I did. I was a very good student, but I can't cook. Sorry, my husband. I would also like to thank my husband, Mike, and my children, Alessia and Mikey, who are here today, too. For listening to my
stories about school and my students. I know these stories are probably pretty boring for them, but they always pretend to listen because they know this school makes me very happy. When I first started working at Trumbull High School 18 years ago, my two mentors were Isabella DeStefanis and Lucinda Timpanelli, and I'm very lucky because they're both here today. Isabella's back again for like the 8th time. She retired in 2009 and is back 8. You're absolutely amazing, and I appreciate all that you both have done for me in my teaching journey. You are two of the most caring and supportive individuals that I've ever met. Your knowledge, your experience, and leadership will remain with me for a lifetime. I am forever grateful and for your inspiration, support, and wise counsel. Thank you, ladies. To my remarkable department chair, Candy Peruzzi, yay! I admire your professionalism, dedication to our school, support, and patience. Thanks for all that you do for the World Language team. You are truly an amazing woman, and we are so lucky to have you in our department. Grazie per tutto. To the district ELL team, led by Susan Fink. And my devoted paraprofessional, Cheryl Plotkin. Thanks for all that you do for the Trumbull ELL community. We are a great team. And last but not least, I would like to thank my fabulous World Language department for being more than just colleagues. We are a family, we really are. And I am so grateful that I have the opportunity every day to come to work, to come and speak with you guys, to talk with you guys, to just laugh and be serious and be professional and do all that we have to do. So thank you for being such wonderful professionals each and every day. And I love each and all of you. I love you so much. That's it, everyone. Have a great school year. Grazie, ciao.
Now that I know Susanna's parents were here, I'm really, really happy that I didn't forget about the hyphenated Livornia lie. So I made that mistake once of not including it, just missed it, and I was reminded and never forgot it since. We're extremely fortunate today to have Giselle Martin-Kniep, our keynote speaker. She is just sensational. I can't say enough about her. It's very, very special for us to have her with us. Giselle has worked extensively with many, many teachers in the areas of curriculum and performance-based assessments. As a matter of fact, almost 20 of our teachers here in Trumbull have been in her training sessions, some presentations. When they found out that Giselle was here, I received emails, phone calls. I can't believe it. This is going to be the greatest keynote. So we're very, very excited about the fact that she's here. Her keynote focus will be something I know that will be valued by all of us. Her keynote focus is on the alignment of assessments with what we would like our students to leave our elementary, middle, and high schools with respect to what we want them to know, what we want them to be able to do, what we want them to value. I personally love the way she sequentially moves through this process by getting us to be very reflective and to drive our thinking in terms of what we value as educators and how those values then are transferred to the outcomes that we want for our students, and then do our assessments measure those values the way we want them to. So this reflective process is really all about us and what you do in your classrooms every day. Please join me in welcoming Giselle Martin-Kniep.
morning. How are you? You know, I was thinking about today because I should start like the students. You know, I'm from Mexico. I've been here for 30 years. I started as speaking Spanish only. So if you can detect a slight accent, it comes from a hybrid upbringing. But for about 22 years, I've been working in education. First, 13 years at Stanford University, and then the last 18 years in the United States, New York, and elsewhere. And you know, it's very interesting because we're all coming back from vacation, and one of the things that worried me about today is how do you get people to even think about a year when they're so busy trying to hold on to a summer that was so short? You know, it kind of defies all motivational strategies. And so, you know, I was thinking, you know, how am I going to get them to get motivated? One of the things I can tell you is I feel like, first of all, extremely honored and humbled to be here. There's nothing that feels more important to people like me than to convene a whole group of people and to try to set a tone for the day. What makes me feel much more honored, I think, and humbled about Trumbull is not only what I already knew about Trumbull, and I already spent one day here last year, but for the last 35 minutes, the honored have been honoring other people. You know, you're starting a day where everybody that has been honored actually honors somebody else. And that has to say a lot about your community. It's been just wonderful to listen to the kids. How can you not be inspired about starting a year when you're listening to kids and how they remember other teachers, and to teachers who, instead of talking about themselves, can't stop talking about other people and the difference that those other people have made in their lives. And so I feel blessed already by being here, and I thank you for the opportunity to spend the day with you and thinking about some important things like what do we value, and then what are we doing about what we value. So I want to start with a little story. I just came back from a 3-week vacation, like many of you who had vacations. I had the blessing of having a 3-week vacation with my family. And I have a daughter, and my daughter's a musician. She's a singer, she's a composer, she's a world traveler, she cannot sit still. And one of the things that I've been craving, you know, because I only have one daughter, is I've been craving a grandchild. You know, I've gotten to that point where being a grandmother has a very, very fabulous appeal. But she's nowhere near getting married, even in being in a relationship. She's in a relationship with her guitar, her music, her yoga. And so during this vacation in Utah, where we were hiking throughout many of the national parks, at some point, you know, we were joking, we were hiking, and I don't really talk to her much about this kid that I want. But every so often, it just comes out in the weirdest of ways. Like she says, look at that kid. You know, it makes me wonder whether one day I would want something like that. I said, yeah, you will. I can talk about that. And so in this particular hike, she says, you know, Mom, why don't you just buy one? I'm not going to buy one. First of all, I don't know how to afford one, but how can I buy one? But in thinking about this keynote, I thought, well, what if I could order one? You know, what if I could order a grandkid? Like, what would I want? So I started my list a couple of days ago, and I decided the first and foremost thing is I want a kid who's healthy. You know, I want a healthy kid. The second thing is I want them to adore me unconditionally. You know, I just want to be adored by this kid so I can adore this kid back. And those two were really kind of categorical. There were no ifs, nuances, you know, I just want that. But then I started to think about other qualities. For example, I want my grandkid to be flexible, but not waffly. You know, just flexible. Open-minded, but not random. Focused, but not hyper-focused. You know, so these nuanced things where you know that too much of a good thing is actually a bad thing. And so then I thought, all right, so my list is getting nicer. You know, I sort of know which is categorical, which is an interval variable, Of course, I think in mathematics in terms of measurement. So what do I have for data? You know, so if I could order this kit from a catalog, what would I have as data? I would have, if it's a baby, I'd have the agar scale. You know, maybe today I might have some genetic data that talks about predispositions and incidences and potential genetic disorders and so on. But really, there's not much more that I would have, right? And so I want to use that as a story to kick off this conversation, which I hope will be a conversation throughout the day, which is there's lots of things that we value, but we don't have the data that would enable us to actually know or measure that which we value or want to acquire. And so the two overarching questions that I want us to entertain is, one is, how do we reconcile what we value with what we measure? How do we align those two things in a way that makes sense? This is really important in schools because we do a pretty bad job. And the second one is what might it take us to measure what we value? What would it take? What kind of effort, what kind of investment, what kind of commitment will it take to do that? And this, of course, applies to everything in life, but we're sitting in the context of school, so we're going to think about school. You know, it is interesting because this issue of values and measures is really part of a paradox. And it's a very big paradox in the United States, but also globally. Over the last, you know, since I actually left Stanford, at the time that I left Stanford, there were over 10,000 tests in print. You know, that's education only. You know, so we have far more measures than we can ever imagine. We have measures galore. We have just a huge amount of measures. And yet, for the things that truly matter, we have very little. So on the one hand, we are in hyper-measuring mode, but we're not necessarily measuring what matters most. So how do we deal with this paradox of measuring more, but actually learning less about what we measure? Many of the tests that we actually consider important actually measure a very small percentage of what we would consider is important about learning, about growth, about attainment, about development of different kinds. So the segments of this conversation, which is going to be a rather short conversation, how I'm going to take you down this journey, is first I want to talk about why should we even consider the question of aligning what we value with what we do. Why do that? What's to be gained by Trumbull if you actually consider that question? The second one is I want to engage you, and fortunately throughout the day I'll be able to have conversations with several groups of teachers about what is it that actually Trumbull teachers value. And this is such a great time to think about it because you're unencumbered by the crisis of the day, of yesterday, because it's a new school year, you've had a summer, you've had some thinking time. So what is it that actually drives you as teachers? What do you want for students? That will be our second segment. Our third segment is what do measures that value things that you value look like? What do they have in common? What do they look like? What are their attributes? And then we'll dig in much more deeply into what those attributes are. And finally, we're going to talk about what are some, in systems thinking, we talk about change in very short steps. And we use the terms of successive approximation. So if Trumbull wanted to reduce the distance between where you are and where you want to be, what are some baby steps that Trumbull could take? So why does alignment matter? Well, first of all, alignment gives us a sense of direction. It helps us know what the destination is. When you take a trip and you know where you're going, you're more likely to get there faster than when you're meandering your way. Now, my daughter is a meanderer, but most of us, like for example, I was heading to Trumbull from New York City this morning, and about 23 miles before I got here by my GPS died. You know, my phone died, my GPS died. And suddenly, I mean, I absolutely realized how inept I've become. Because now that I trust my GPS and my phone, I just follow these stupid directions, even when I don't agree with them. And yet now in the midst of this, I just knew that at 23.8 miles, my GPS died, and I didn't know whether I was ahead or behind where Trumbull was. And so it's interesting because I did read the Google map the day before, so I did know my destination, and I ended up doing what we used to do when we didn't have cell phones, which is stop and ask a gas station, and felt much more relieved. But alignment helps us determine where we're headed. We need to know where we're headed. We need to honor our intent and our discourse. So for me, coming to terms with the question, can we reduce the distance between what I value in a child and what I do, actually gives credibility to my intent. So for example, if I say to my kids at the beginning of the year, I really value that you take risks, well, how am I going to actually honor that taking risks is a good idea? Where does that fit in the assessment? You know, so if I keep saying one thing and measuring in another way, what are they going to think about me? And to what extent are they going to believe that I really value risk-taking or collaboration or creativity? And the third reason is because we need to think about how we can reduce that distance to become more coherent. Systems, when we live in a society or in context where there's a disconnect between what we say and what we do, or what the system says and what it does, we become unhappy. We disenfranchise, we sabotage, we act out. So we need to actually reduce that distance in order to have a coherent, healthy system. So why those segments? I think, as your superintendent stated this morning, I think it is important for Trumbull to continue to reassert what's important, you know, what matters. One of the things that was very clear to me is that honoring teachers is really important here. So that matters. And so we want to honor teachers, and we want to honor teachers for the right reasons. And you could already see by what the kids said this morning that what the students are acknowledging are not things that are easy to measure. How do you measure a teacher's commitment to a subject in the form of translating a textbook without that example? So these are tricky things, but we need to reassert what we value because that matters. We need an assessment system that is congruent and parsimonious. Trumbull has done a lot relative to that with your APBAs and PBAs and other performance-based assessments. But there's so much more to do. We are in a context, in a political context in Connecticut, in New Jersey, in New York, in many other states, where the accountability values are associated with measures that are not what you're doing. You know, and as long as that exists, as long as that's the primary way by which teachers' worth is made, or schools' worth, we have a problem. And we can't keep blaming those tests, because those tests are not going to get better. This country does not have the political will or the resources to create external assessments that measure worthy things. It's too expensive. So we need to do it from within. And we need to find opportunities in the context of prescribed mandates, like teacher evaluation, like the Common Core, like using data and everything else you're very familiar with but wish you could forget, but won't. So, if we want change, if we want incremental change, if we want improvement, we actually have to think different. We can't stay inside an incremental model. So what are some desired outcomes? I want to ask you to do the same thing you did when your Teacher of the Year invited you to take a minute to talk to each other. And I want you to think about, at the end of this coming year, in June 2015, what is one thing you want your students to